Welcome everyone to this week's edition of Where Is Your Stop with Hawking Alpha. I'm Josh Hawes, and just want to come at you this week for a few different angles. I'm going to start a new segment where we're going to talk about, one of the articles and pieces in our newsletter of news or noise, and then secondly, we're going to address Target today. Good old Target. We've been asked about Target and just wanted to give a good example of that kind of a retail name. So one of the pieces of news or noise that we had in our newsletter was asking was an article that talked about how investors are leaving the U.S. stock market. Well, I don't know if anybody's looked at a chart of the S&P 500 lately, but it doesn't necessarily appear to be that way. Now, a few weeks back, and this was also at the SALT conference that we were at. They definitely talked about how one of the reasons why the stock market appears to be artificially gravitating up is because of the fact of all the buybacks, all the companies doing share buyback programs. Now, obviously, this could be a something that would help from a macro standpoint. As you take away supply, you're able to artificially increase demand. But the effect of that, based upon the size of the stock market, really could not be as drastic as where we are trading at today, especially in the short term. So if anybody's looked at the difference between the S&P 500 and the Dow or the Nasdaq, surprisingly enough, the S&P 500 continues to break to new all-time highs, whereas the Dow and the Nasdaq and the Russell have not. So if we were to take a look at all the guys that are doing the buybacks, there's a good ETF called the PKW, Power Shares Buyback Achievers. And what can we see? We can see that obviously buybacks are not accelerating to the upside. And so this is probably not what is contributing to the advance in the S&P 500. What possibly is? Well, if we were to take a look at technology, what can we see? Technology is ripping and roaring lately, folks, especially if you look at something like Apple. And that's going to have an effect on, obviously, a market cap weighted S&P 500. So we can see that technology has essentially gone into this parabolic phase that we're seeing right now. And then, of course, last but not least, even the defensive sector notion of healthcare for the last 2 months has had considerable rate of change appreciation to the upside. So why is that S&P 500 going up? My guess is going to be and it's purely is from the aspect of technology and healthcare are basically overperforming. So for anybody who tells you that it's buybacks or anything else, take a look at market internals. They'll give you a lot better picture. Okay, so let's take a look at Target here real quick. So with Target, the last time that essentially we rode this trend on this gap up, we rode it all the way up, and then we ended up getting out right around here. Would have been our exit point, and then Target was very sideways for a while, and then finally gave us a short signal right in here, right about December, like the very last day of November, December 2nd actually. And so had our stop very far outside the noise. Obviously, if we were to appreciate all the way up there, Target's going to be moving and hunting to the upside. Had our stop all the way up there, and Target has continued to have a nice move down, came back, and we ended up moving our stop, continuing to stay outside of the noise. You can see that we're staying outside of these supply points. Staying outside of these supply points. So we're not trying to flirt with the market. We're not trying to trade it aggressively. We're trying to give Target the best chance for downside depreciation. And so we can see that hey, down here really have a liquidity point around that $50 area. Never know the future, but let's see if Target wants to hunt that. But essentially, this is our entry point for a good valid short signal, and then we have continued to move that stop down. And because of this sideways action, we have not moved it yet. We're going to probably need to see considerable depreciation further before we actually move that guy again. So, hope you enjoyed this week's video. Any questions or comments or any macro sector or even global sector, hit us out, ask a question, and obviously we'll talk about it next week.